We are now entering the DDay German pre-orders. So there's the DDay German book is about to land. Ben, do you want to take us through it?
Yeah, so guys over at Battlefront, when Flames of War are starting the pre-orders for their D-Day German stuff. So there's going to be a new book which focuses on all the troops that were fighting just after that invasion of Normandy and sort of pushing on further into France. So you'll be following all those different forces, and they're going to be supplementing that with a whole bunch of models, both infantry, tanks, artillery, all the things you need, as well as tokens of all sorts of different bits and bobs throughout all of September and into October as well. So they've been showing off a few bits and pieces that we put into the new story. So you've got lots of Fallschirmjäger stuff, which is kind of cool.
Yep.
So a lot of people that are hardened veterans that have come from other sort of frontiers and stuff and now fighting in France as well, which is kind of awesome. So yeah, it's good news for anybody that likes Germans, because we've had this huge period where there was a lot of support for the US and the Americans, and now it's switching over to the Germans. And then I believe it's British it's sort of towards the start of next year, I think. So,
yeah, around February.
Jerry.
Yes.
For someone that has bought Hit the Beach, right, and they're getting into Flames of War, right? In Hit the Beach, they got an army, they got some cards.
Yeah.
Why would somebody buy the D-Day German book, or the American D-Day book? What is it? Is it army lists and stuff that's in there, or what's
essentially they've got not just formations, but they have more equipment in them. So they did a Fortress Europe book, which is just get you buy lists for the four main factions, the Soviets, British, Americans, and Germans. But they're very limited in what they have and what they can do, and they're very generic as well. So with the likes of D-Day America and D-Day Germany, they've brought in specific formations to represent actual units that were there and fighting. Which may mean that you'll see things where instead of just having a generic veteran unit that's got the same veteran skill and the same veteran being shot at, so people are hit on various things, they can start tweaking those. They can go, okay, well, this is another veteran unit, but they're actually slightly less skillful because maybe they've got more green troops in them, or they've got a better motivation because they've been through, maybe they were in North Africa or they were in Sicily or whatever it happens to be. So they've got formations that are more historically focused,
historically tuned.
Plus they also then increase the amount of stuff you can have, so it's not just looking at 88s as being your only anti-tank guns, throw in the 75s and or 7.5 packs, and they just increase. And they're doing this with the books where over time they're pushing the theaters incrementally by period. So I would imagine after D-Day, which just covers the sort of breakout of Normandy, once everybody's done with that, they can either then swap to, and I imagine they probably will swap to Russia for the Eastern Front, and then do the similar sort of thing for that, and then they can cut back to the Western Front and do the advances into Holland and that sort of thing. So
is that Battle of the Bulge? The advance into Holland?
Bulge comes later.
That's later, is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So Market Gardens, so the Bridge Too Far film.
Bridge Too Far.
It's that. So the way they're doing it is previously they would do a book for a specific area. So they would do a Market Garden book, and the Market Garden book would have all the force lists in it.
Yeah.
Whereas now they're going, well, if you're playing British, you don't need the German and this, that, and the other. Whereas if they go, this is the time period that we're focusing on, and this book will contain all your British lists, or this book will contain all your German lists. So you're not ending up with 3/4 of a book that's no use to you, unless you happen to like looking at what your opponent could possibly face. Some of us do, some of us don't. But yeah, it just focuses in more on specific time periods and what you would see.
So as
you're actually looking at it,
as a hobbyist in the Flames of War world right now. So my kind of entry point is, I pick up Hit the Beach or 2 copies of Hit the Beach, I split it with a friend, get stuck in with that. For a while there, I could have picked up Fortress Europe, and it would give me lists that I could use. It
would give you generic,
but now,
a generic German list. But now you could, if you want to play, for example, the Panzer Lair, which if you play World War II, Flames of War, almost undoubtedly somebody will have either fielded the Panzer Lair against you or will have fielded them, or you'll field them yourself. It was the quintessential, this is our model of what every German brigade will become. It is mechanized, it has this, this, and this, and they managed to equip one, which was the Lair, as their training division.
Yeah.
And they had everything. They had, this is all the weaponry you would have. And this will be the first one. This will be our prime one. And everybody else will be modeled after this. Then it all went very badly wrong. So nobody got modeled after that. So nobody got all the half tracks, all the Panzerfaust. But this one shining example of how they wanted the organization of the force to go forward. They were very heavily involved in Normandy. They were supported by 101st Heavy Tank Division, so the Tigers. And they were also supported by, I think, one of the Tank Hunter divisions, so 658 maybe. But they're noticeable for their defense of Normandy, and then pretty much being annihilated. And so you never see them after Normandy. But that, I imagine, the layer will be in there and will have all their bells and whistles and that sort of thing. Because,
so my next step then, as a German player, I want to get that book.
Yeah,
I'm going to flick through it, and in that book, I'm going to get an army that I'll say I'm going to have a go at that.
Yeah,
and then from that, I should easily be able to read a bit about that army. I should be able to know what models I need to add in order to build that.
It will give you the history, and because of the way it goes now, where you don't just have an army list.
Yeah,
you have a formation, and you can take one formation, 2, 3, 4, whatever, up to the points value you're playing or the way you're playing. So you can go, okay, well, I'm going to take the Panzerlehr mechanized infantry as my main formation. But because I know they were supported by the 101st Tiger tanks, I'll take a formation of Tigers. And then I'll also take a formation of tank hunters, or
so it's like it's really flexible, and you're not going to be stuck to it must look like this.
You can literally go down and go, this was this particular fight at this place, who was involved, them, and them. I can recreate that bit, or I can recreate this bit of the fly pocket. Or
all of my collection has the potential, at least, to fit into, well, generally into maybe a list of some sort.
From Hit the Beach, you can field it as a tank company of some description. Depending on who you want to be, there's going to be several tank companies in there.
Awesome. So I also look like I've got years of hobby ahead of me then. So, well, we're guessing here, so I pick up the D-Day book, and then we'll play that with my buddies for a while, then maybe go to the Eastern Front, then maybe come back to the Western Front, and then ultimately it all then works up to the Siege of Berlin at the end.
I imagine that's how they'll flip back and forth, because with British coming next, that will be another D-Day British book.
Yes.
And then that will be all the forces that were fighting at D-Day. Well, I think the Germans actually get the Waffen-SS book late next year, but that covers that front. So then they have to keep the Soviet players up to speed, they'll have to flip to the Eastern Front. But then that gives a whole other barrel. So imagine the Soviets will get a book, and then the Germans will get their forces that were fighting there. And in some cases they were similar, in some cases they were very different. Just the things that were already sitting over there, or what they had to use. So the forces for Germany were split quite massively. And while you might see a lot of Ferdinand's tank hunters sort of based on the Tiger chassis sitting on the Eastern Front, not so many of them made it to the Western Front. A lot of them got wiped out before they got that distance, or were replaced by the upcoming Jagdpanthers and that sort of thing. So I see them moving back and forward just to keep things, because it seems like they want to follow chronology this time rather than go area, which is what they did previously. Here's all the stuff that happened in Holland. Here's all the stuff that happened in the lower countries.
See, this will be nice for the more hardcore players out there, because if Normandy is their thing, they will have everything they need to make the precise armies that they want, to make that exact unit with the exact markings and stuff from these books, which I think is a really nice way to lay it out.
We'll see. We will see. Okay, thank you for that, guys.